Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take today's, well, incredibly complex world of information and try to boil it down to what you really need to know. And today we're looking at a challenge that really defines our modern times. Managing all these rapidly advancing autonomous technologies, things like self-driving cars, drones, those industrial robots, they're all operating out there in the real world across huge dynamic areas. It just immediately makes me ask, how on earth do you stay in control? How do you ensure safety and even build up human skills when these systems are spread out over such massive, constantly changing spaces?
It's a really huge challenge. And, precisely because as these systems pop up everywhere, the complexity, it isn't just adding up. It's like exponential. Just the sheer amount of data, the split-second decisions needed, and, well, the absolute necessity for good human oversight. Those things can quickly jam up the works for any organization.
Exponential complexity. Yeah, that really captures it. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. Our focus for this deep dive is EON Reality's really groundbreaking Unified Command and Competency Platform. Some are even calling it the command room of tomorrow.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this platform is its direct aim. It wants to bridge what they're calling a critical command and competency gap. So it's not just about, watching screens. It's about fundamentally changing both the real-time operations and human performance kind of at the same time.
Okay, so our mission here is to really unpack how this innovative platform pulls that off. It seems to do it by integrating these live spatial AI digital twins, which are basically dynamic, smart, virtual copies of real places with an immersive extended reality or XR training system. We'll be pulling out the specific details from our sources to really get what makes this solution tick and, why it's potentially such a big deal for these high-stakes situations. Let's get into it.
Okay, so if we look at the bigger picture, the sources we have really emphasize that the fast spread of autonomous tech has kind of created this dangerous gap. Think about organizations maybe in defense or logistics or even managing smart cities. They're juggling these increasingly complex fleets of autonomous things. But often they're still stuck with like old school 2D tools and processes that just react after the fact.
Right. So the traditional training methods, they're just not cutting it anymore. What are the specific problems or bottlenecks you see with the current ways people are trained for these really complex, high-stakes jobs?
Well, the sources are pretty blunt about it. The old ways are just too slow, way too expensive, and often, frankly, too dangerous to really prep operators for every single thing that could go wrong. And that creates this big command and competency gap we mentioned. This EON platform tackles that head on by going way beyond just passively watching things. It allows for active, immersive command and control. It gives people the tools not just to see what's happening in real time, but to actively interact with it, simulate any scenario, and make sure the human operators are truly masters of the tech.
That sounds like a fundamental shift, really. So how does it actually do that, the active command and control part? And how does it weave the human element in so deeply? Our sources talk about it being a dual-pillar solution. Can you break down what those two pillars are?
Sure. So the platform is built around these two totally integrated pillars. They create this kind of continuous loop between what's happening operationally and improving human skills. Yeah. Pillar one is the real-time operations center. This is described as the platform's like central nervous system. It pulls in billions of data points from all sorts of different places, often totally separate systems, and turns them into this single, intuitive, live 3D digital twin of the whole operational area.
Wow. Okay. Billions of data points into one live 3D picture. That's a big jump. How does that shift things from just watching reactively to making proactive decisions? Does it really empower the command staff differently? Like, can you give an example of how the AI analytics make a difference there?
It's a total paradigm shift, really. Instead of command staff just sort of, staring at data on flat screens, they're now actively supported by AI-driven predictive analytics. What that means is they get AI-powered alerts about potential conflicts, about anomalies, things that might happen, so they can actually prevent problems before they occur, instead of just cleaning up afterwards. It gives them, well, unparalleled situational awareness.
Okay, yeah, I get that for the operations side. That makes a lot of sense. But then how do you make sure the people, the humans, keep up with technology that advanced? I'm guessing that's where pillar number 2 fits in.
Precisely. That's the Immersive Competency Hub. And the source material called it the platform's digital dojo for human performance, which I think is quite fitting. This pillar makes sure the human element isn't just, competent, but actually excels.
A digital dojo. I like that term too. So it's like a virtual training ground. Operators use VR, XR headsets, right? And they practice complex tasks, teamwork, maybe even high-stress emergency drills. And it's all hyper-realistic, but And this is key. It's 100% safe because it's virtual. That seems like a massive step up from traditional, often risky live exercises.
It really is. And kind of underpinning this whole integrated solution is something called the EON Interact framework. That's basically the engine that lets them create these reality virtual experiences. This tech is what allows the platform to fuse all that different data together. It securely pulls in and correlates live data streams. We're talking things like telemetry, video feeds, weather updates, sensor data, all into one unified model.
That's crucial. Yeah, without getting all the data together in one place, you're just guessing, right? What I find really interesting is that it then uses that combined data to generate interactive simulations. It basically turns that live digital twin into this dynamic interactive sandbox where pretty much any operational scenario can be simulated whenever you need it. The sources really stress this allows for unlimited practice on any contingency.
Exactly. And this capability directly empowers the subject matter experts within an organization. The EON Interact framework gives them no-code tools, specifically something called EON-XR, which lets an organization's own experienced operators capture their know-how and build training modules themselves. This creates what they call a sovereign and scalable knowledge ecosystem. Basically, the organization keeps its critical expertise in-house, even if key people retire or leave.
That seems like a huge benefit, especially for passing knowledge down. It avoids just relying on static manuals or, that one expert who might be leaving soon. But are there any hurdles, like getting those existing experts who might not be tech wizards to actually use these no-code tools and capture their knowledge effectively?
That's a fair question. The sources suggest that the intuitive design of the no-code tools really lowers the barrier to entry. It lets the experts focus on the content, their actual knowledge, rather than getting bogged down in complex programming. Being able to quickly create and tweak training modules without needing deep technical skills is, well, a key part of making it work. And this is contrasted pretty sharply with the old ways of doing things.
You mentioned contrasting with traditional methods. Our sources actually lay out a direct comparison, don't they, between this unified platform and a more traditional approach looking at several key areas. What really jumps out at you from that comparison?
Oh, the differences are pretty stark, right across the board. Take situational awareness. Traditionally, you're juggling like separate 2D maps, maybe some video feeds, spreadsheets. It often leads to information silos, right? Everyone's looking at a different piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
The EON Unified Platform, though, gives you that live, interactive 3D digital twin of the whole operational space. It pulls all the data streams into one single comprehensive view.
Right. And then for decision making, traditionally, it's mostly reactive, right? Based on what already happened, historical data. But with this platform, it becomes proactive, predictive even. You get those AI-driven alerts for potential conflicts, anomalies. So like you said, you're heading off issues before they start, not just responding after the fact. That feels like a really critical difference.
Absolutely. Then there's training. The old way often involves expensive, sometimes high-risk live exercises, or maybe just sitting in a classroom looking at slides. Pretty static. This platform offers safe, repeatable, hyper-realistic, immersive XR simulations. And this also dramatically speeds up how quickly operators get ready. The source material actually claims a 4x faster skill acquisition because they can practice unlimited times.
4 times faster skill acquisition.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not just an improvement. That's, like you said, revolutionary for time to competency. It drastically cuts the time and money needed to get operators fully mission ready.
But what about team collaboration? Instead of just, radio calls or video conferences where people don't really share the same view of the situation, this platform offers shared virtual workspaces. Teams can do synchronized multi-user mission rehearsals together. That sounds like proper collaborative training in a genuinely shared environment. Yes, exactly. And another important point the sources emphasize is that this isn't just for managing aerial drones, even though that's apparently where it was initially proven out. The platform's architecture is described as asset agnostic, meaning it's universally applicable.
Okay, so it's really designed as a single unified interface. You can use it to command, control, and train for a whole mix of interconnected autonomous systems. That includes ground systems like autonomous trucks for logistics, rovers, maybe even armored vehicles, and maritime systems like unmanned boats on the surface or underwater drones, and even industrial robots like those automated guided vehicles in warehouses or remote robotic arms. That covers a lot of ground.
It does. And the platform operates through something called EON Universal, which just ensures it works across different devices. So people can use it for operational viewing and immersive training on various headsets and systems like MetaQuest, Varo, HoloLens 2, and others. Key features they highlight include those AI-driven analytics for predictive models, things like collision avoidance, optimizing routes, detecting anomalies.
And it offers multimodal interaction too, right? Meaning you can control things using touch, controllers, or even just natural language voice commands. That sounds very intuitive. Plus, secure data fusion, bringing all that data together safely, and a big library of immersive training templates for different kinds of learning. Procedural, decision-making, exploration. It's clearly built on, well, a long history over 2 decades of innovation from EON Reality. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the core innovation here with the EON Reality Unified Platform. It really seems to be this incredibly powerful dual pillar approach. It seamlessly meshes the real time command side with hyper realistic immersive training. It directly tackles those big challenges managing complex autonomous fleets and getting human operators skilled up quickly and safely, especially when you compare it to those traditional methods that are often slow, costly, and frankly, dangerous. We talked about that cool digital dojo concept and the really powerful ability for an organization's own experts to capture their vital knowledge using no-code tools.
Right. And I think what really stands out is that this isn't just a niche thing for drones. It's pitched as a truly universal platform applicable across ground, sea, and industrial robotics. It really demonstrates a fundamental shift, potentially, in how organizations can reach, well, unprecedented levels of safety, efficiency, and human readiness, especially in these high-stakes fields. It feels like a much more proactive way to handle complex problems rather than just reacting.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads us perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener. If a platform like this can create such incredibly realistic virtual copies of entire operational worlds and let humans interact, train, and command autonomous systems with that level of detail and fidelity, well, what does that really imply for the future of human-machine collaboration, not just in these areas, but in any complex field? Think about how integrating these spatial AI digital twins with immersive training might reshape industries far beyond the ones we talked about today. Could it fundamentally redefine what it even means to be competent in a world that's becoming increasingly autonomous? Something to ponder.